February 2018, the Winter Olympics were held in PyeongChang, South Korea, and North Korea sent a delegation. Leading that delegation was Kim Jong-un's younger sister, Kim Yo Jong. At the press conference, North Korea's so-called number 2 official, a 90-year-old man named Kim Jongun, politely invited her to take a seat first. Kim Yo Jong smiled and immediately waved him back. Then the two of them went back and forth for a while, doing that polite "no, you go first" dance, until Kim Jongun finally sat down. To the reporters, this looked kinda sweet. And over the next few days, Kim Yo Jong kept calm and elegant. Some journalists even started thinking, maybe the Kim family is changing, maybe they're becoming normal. But that only lasted about one day, because a photo went viral. It was taken when South Korea President Moon Jae-in was meeting the North Korean delegation. Kim Yo Jong was sitting right across from him, and in that one split second, the camera caught her real expression. Her chin slightly raised, her eyes cold, a look of pure contempt on her face. She wasn't looking at the president of South Korea. She was looking at him like he was an intern giving her PowerPoint updates that somehow triggered her. That's when everyone realized something. This sweet, elegant Kim Yo Jong was not just good at smiling. She was also very good at switching faces. So the question is, which one is real? And after that, she started showing up next to Kim Jong-un at pretty much every major diplomatic event. She met Moon Jae-in, she met Donald Trump, and she met Chinese leaders. On camera, she looked more like a cute, polite, soft-spoken next-door North Korean girl. And because of that, for a long time, the internet in China, Japan, and South Korea was obsessed with her. And it wasn't just people in Asia. A lot of you in the comment section were saying she's cute and pretty. Hey, that's just a proof once again I really do read your comments. So at the time, a whole army of nerdy guys in Asia started making fan arts about her. Like a cute version, otaku version, or classic clueless sweet anime girl version. In people's fantasy, she looks like this. High heels, a piece of bread in her mouth, running late for school, the kind of innocent, harmless, and pure. But here's the case. Based on some diggings I did, Kim Yo Jong's real nature is nothing like that cute face. One thing you gotta know, the Kim family, whether it's Kim Jong-il or Kim Jong-un, they all have lots of psychopath energy. Kim Jong-un literally had his own uncle Jang Song-thaek blown into bits by using anti-aircraft guns. And let's be honest, no normal human being does that kind of stuff. But when it comes to raw psychopath energy, honestly, in my opinion, I don't think her brother or her father comes anywhere close to her. So the question is Kim Yo Jong really the sweet and clueless girl the world sees? Or is she just another Kim, every bit as cold and dangerous as her brother and her father? In this episode, we are going to dig into who Kim Yo Jong really is. The main source of this video is a book called The Sister. Affiliate link in the description if you guys are interested. Hi everybody, I'm Tony. Drop a comment so I know you are here. Some people say I use AI to reply. That's not true, and that really hurts my feeling. I personally wrote every single one of the response. And if you haven't already, like the video and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Alright, let's get into it. Kim Yo Jong is the third child of Kim Jong-il and Ko In-hee. She is Kim Jong-un's younger brother, and her childhood looked a lot like her brother's. She was spoiled, protected, basically raised like a princess inside the palace. According to the best friend of this channel, Kim Jong-il's personal chef Kenji Fujimoto, when Kim Yo Jong was just a little girl, Kim Jong-il absolutely adored her. He used to call her Sweetheart Princess. When she grew older, in her early teens, she followed the same path as her brother. She was sent to Europe to study in Switzerland. Back then, when nobody was calling her a genius yet, her father thought she was different. So instead of keeping her hidden away, he kept her close. She followed him everywhere, meetings, state visits, private briefing. Not as a kid, but already like a junior aide. Honestly, it's a lot like how Kim Jong-un today brings his own daughter Kim Joo-ae to every major event. Even as a child, Kim Yo Jong was already meeting foreign leaders. In 2007, she was there when her father met South Korean President Roh Moo-hyun. In 2009, when Bill Clinton came to Pyongyang to free 2 American journalists, she was there too. She gave quite a deep impression to those people in the US delegation team. They said she was cheerful and smiled a lot. And one thing really shows how highly Kim Jong-il thought of her. He once told people around him, "Don't underestimate my daughter. She has strong political instincts. If she were a boy, I would have picked her as my successor." While Kim Jong-il was still alive, Kim Yo Jong almost never appeared in public. The first time public really saw her was in 2011 at her father's funeral. There was a young woman standing there crying non-stop. At first, nobody knew who she was. Some media even said she was Kim Jong-un's wife, Ri So-ju. Later, people realized she wasn't his wife, she was his younger sister. I remember watching TV back then. Some so-called North Korean expert was saying things like, "Oh, Mr. Kim Yo Jong is very cute, very innocent, and very well-mannered." Honestly, if someone can say things like that with a straight face, that person certainly has not studied North Korea deep enough. Even someone like me, just a random self-taught North Korea nerd, or anyone who skimmed a couple books about the Kims, would never say something that naive. Because the Kim family has always been unstable. Almost bipolar, I would say. From Kim Jong-il to his sister Kim Kyung-hee to his son Kim Jong-un, they all swing between depressed and manic constantly. The only real exception is Kim Jong-un's older brother Kim Jong-chol. Other than him, this family does not really produce normal people. But here's the crazy part. Kim Yo Jong first appeared in public in 2011. And just a few years later, by 2014, she broke records. She became the youngest Politburo member in North Korean history. She also took control of party's propaganda and agitation department, which means she controls all media, all messaging, and every public voice in the country. At that point, she had basically become the most powerful woman in North Korea. I explain how she became the most powerful woman in North Korea in this video. If you haven't watched it yet, go check it out after watching this one. And if you already have, feel free to watch it 10 more times. So the real question is this: why she was able to pull that off? You might say, well, she is his sister, of course he trusted her. But remember, his older brother Kim Jong-un was also family, and that didn't stop him from having him murdered. So this is not just about blood. It goes back to the strange, intense relationship between Kim Jong-un and his sister Kim Yo Jong. One thing about Kim Yo Jong is that no matter where she is or who is around, she is always extremely respectful towards her brother Kim Jong-un. Not a normal respect though, it feels a little off, almost like a cute cat around its owner. So what do I mean by that? There's a moment from 2018, after Kim Jong-un met South Korean President Moon Jae-in. They were about to sign some documents. Kim Yo Jong was standing next to him, slightly bent over, carefully serving him. The second Kim Jong-un finished signing, she rushed forward to carefully blot the ink. That move looks exactly like how a submissive secretary treats a powerful boss. Now you might think, okay, maybe that's just for the cameras. Maybe in private they act like normal siblings. The answer is, not really. There's another clip from 2019, when Kim Jong-un was visiting China. A Japanese reporter secretly filmed them at the train station in Nanning. Kim Jong-un was having a moment of cigarette craving, just pacing back and forth on the platform and smoking. Quick side note, Kim Jong-un is a heavy smoker. According to Kenji Fujimoto, he started smoking when he was around 12 or 13, at least 1 or 2 packs a day. And his favorite brand is Yves Saint Laurent. Yeah, surprisingly, they also make cigarettes. Anyway, while Kim Jong-un was smoking, Kim Yo Jong quietly walked over holding an ashtray with both hands. She carefully caught the ash as he flicked it. Honestly, she looked even more attentive than his bodyguards. And what does that tell you? It means Kim Yo Jong is constantly watching her brother out of the corner of her eye, tracking his every move, waiting for the moment he might need her. Now you tell me, does your sister actually do that kind of stuff to you? So even in private, their relationship is not normal family stuff. It's not brother and sister, and it's more like ruler and servant, master and subordinate. No matter where they are, in public or in private, Kim Yo Jong is always obedient, soft-spoken, and respectful in front of her brother. That's how she earns his complete trust. But if you think this means Kim Yo Jong is some gentle, polite, traditional North Korean woman, you'll be very wrong. That softness is only for her brother. And that brings us to the psychopath side of Kim Yo Jong. After Kim Yo Jong took over the party's propaganda and agitation department in 2014, North Korea's state media changed. Not to the right direction though. The already extreme tone became even more extreme. The extreme tone became more extreme. That sounds like bad English. Anyway, let's say more unhinged. It wasn't just harsh language anymore. When they talked about enemies, it turned into straight up verbal abuse. When I was researching this episode, some of the stuff they wrote, I couldn't believe what I was reading. A lot of them was very unsettling. I literally cannot repeat most of them on YouTube. It would get this video demonetized instantly, so I will just give you a taste. One of her favorite targets was former US President Barack Obama, because during his time in office, the US enforced very tough sanctions on North Korea. After those sanction hits, Kim Yo Jong had her propaganda department publish a long attack piece against him. One line really stuck with me. They called Obama a mixed breed with impure blood who, despite millions of years of human evolution, still carried the body of a monkey. Yeah, that's not political criticism. That's straight up racism, dehumanizing trash. When I first read it, I was honestly shocked. Like, how is this still happening in modern international diplomacy? But there's one country that's probably not a surprise at all. Yeah, South Korea. Do you know who Kim Yo Jong loves attacking the most? Former South Korean President Park Geun-hye, the daughter of Park Chung-hee, the man who helped build South Korea's modern economy. And the way she went after her was even nastier than what she wrote about Obama. Her attack on Park Geun-hye, how should I put it? Like, were both incredibly crude and somehow imaginative. For example, in 2014, right after Kim Yo Jong took charge of propaganda, North Korea immediately wrote a hit piece. In that article, they said, Park Geun-hye meeting with Obama was nothing more than a meeting between a crime boss and his political prostitute. And it was simply the kiss between a shameless, flattering prostitute and her client. And that was a polite version. The worst one came on May 27, 2015, when North Korea's official news agency published a 9-page attack piece on Park Geun-hye. North Korea propaganda literally said, again, I didn't say this, I'm simply repeating what they said. Park Geun-hye kept sticking herself to the filthy crotch of her American master, like a drunk prostitute wagging her tail to please him. The point is, this kind of attack showed up constantly. Every few days, there will be another one. And it was always the same theme, either calling someone a prostitute or a monkey. And they feel that linguistically, they do not have much to work with. I mean, North Korea is an extremely closed country. Most people there have never been online, never been exposed to the outside world. So even when they try to insult someone, they kind of run out of ideas. I said this in my Otto Warmbier episode 2. They lack imagination when they try to make up crimes. And now you see the same thing with their insults. What's also interesting is that she seems to have some special obsession with attacking female leaders in other countries. Besides Park Geun-hye, she also went after the president of the Republic of China, Tsai Ing-wen, calling her a prostitute as well. Which is pretty strange to me, because Kim Yo Jong herself is a woman. So why does she go so hard after other female leaders? I think part of it is this. In North Korea, male-dominated system, she can never be the top leader. So some of that frustration and resentment get redirected towards women in other countries who actually made it all the way to the top. But the way she does it is so nasty that it barely sounds like something a well-educated person would say. Kim Yo Jong isn't just a psychopath to the outside world. Inside North Korea, she tightened control even more. In Pyongyang, cameras start going up everywhere. If anyone complains, even just by a little, the police would show up immediately. She also started firing threats at South Korea, demanding that all defectors be thrown into prison. Why? Because defectors in South Korea sometimes send balloons across the border. And inside those balloons are leaflets, but also soap, toothpaste, toothbrushes, basic everyday stuff. And that stuff is extremely popular inside North Korea. People don't say it out loud, but everyone hopes one of those balloons will land near them. That's all it took to make Kim Yo Jong furious. There's a scholar at the Wilson Center in the US who specializes in the Kim family. This is how he described Kim Yo Jong. Behind the face of a young, attractive, Western-educated woman is an extremely cold and ruthless heart. If she ever takes power, she would kill without hesitation, just like her father, her brother, and her grandfather, including members of her own family. And honestly, it sounds a lot like he has been binge-watching this channel because it clearly gets the Kim family's mental state and how they really operate. Kim Yo Jong's psychopath energy wasn't done yet. In June 2020, she dropped something big. So basically, after Kim Yo Jong met Moon Jae-in at the Winter Olympics in 2018, North and South entered a kind of honeymoon period. About 3 months later, Moon Jae-in met Kim Jong-un at the Panmunjom right on the border. They were hugging, shaking hands, and even jumping back and forth across the border. That part was kind of hilarious. But anyway, the meeting went well, so they planned to sign the Panmunjom Declaration. Then North Korea suggested, hey, next time don't meet here, come to Pyongyang instead. They tell Moon Jae-in, bring your wife, bring those South Korean business leaders, let's throw a big party in Pyongyang and sign it there. And on top of that, North Korea also pushed another idea. They said, we're all Korean, we all share a sacred mountain, Mount Baekdo. Since you're already here, why don't we just go together as a big group trip? And they actually did. The atmosphere was incredibly friendly, was way beyond normal diplomacy. So what do I mean by that? For events like this, normally leaders just shake hands, stand still, and take some photo, that would be it. But Moon Jae-in said, why don't we make this warmer? So what he did was he started to hold Kim's hand. Then he realized something, right? Like when two guys just holding hands like this, it's kind of gay. And then he suggested they raise their hand up in the air. And that's how you got the iconic raising hand picture between Moon Jae-in and Kim Jong-un. And then things got even wilder. Once people saw how friendly Kim Jong-un was, South Korean business leaders started asking him for photos as well. And before Kim Jong-un could even say yes, they were already crowding around him. And then someone had an even crazier idea. They said to Kim, in South Korea, K-pop idols do this kind of like heart sign with their fingers. And you should try it too. And somehow Kim Jong-un actually went along with it. Once people saw the general doing finger hearts in photos, everyone went wild. The whole group lined up one by one to get a heart pose photo with him. Honestly, based on what we know about Kim Jong-un, you could tell he was thinking, alright, relax guys, you guys are getting a little bit too bold now. I actually have an idea. If Kim Jong-un ever needed money, he could just start charging people for photos. Like take a picture with him, charge them $50,000. Or he could actually do those online greeting things. You know, for someone's birthday, have Kim Jong-un record a little video, sing the happy birthday song in Korean, and shouting happy birthday from Pyongyang, that kind of deal. Then charge them, what, $100,000? If he actually did that, North Korea's money problem might have been already solved. I'm kind of kidding, but kind of not. And during this honeymoon period, Kim Jong-un even gave Moon Jae-in 2 puppies as a symbol of their friendship. Moon Jae-in still keeps them today. Apparently, they even had 7 puppies. So you might be thinking, okay, this all sounds pretty nice. Where does Kim Yo Jong's psychopath energy come in? Relax, we're getting there. That sweet little North Korean romance or bromance, whatever way you want to call it, did not last long. It barely made 2 years. By early 2020, right when COVID was starting, things completely fell apart. There were a lot of reasons, but the big one was simple. Money. Moon Jae-in had promised investments, aid, cash, but because of international sanctions, none of it could actually happen. So from Pyongyang's point of view, the money never showed up. Then there was a second US-North Korea summit in 2019, the one in Honey, I don't know if you guys remember. Kim Jong-un met Donald Trump, and the whole thing went badly. North Korea wanted sanctions lifted, and the US lifted nothing. So the talks completely collapsed. And here's the funny part. North Korea, of course, they're not going to blame themselves, and they sure as hell were not going to blame Trump. So who did they blame? Moon Jae-in. They said he somehow didn't push hard enough behind the scenes, and that's why the talk failed. What a funny logic, right? Then in April 2019, Moon Jae-in joined the US in a joint military exercise. North Korea took that as a betrayal. Like, how dare you hurt our dear leader's feeling? And after all that, Kim Yo Jong's whole vibe changed. That sweet, smiling sister vanished. And overnight, the psychopath energy showed back up. Yeah, she transformed once again. After the joint military exercise, Kim Yo Jong published a furious statement. She called Moon Jae-in's action extremely stupid, the work of a 3-year-old, and said Moon Jae-in was like a frightened dog barking wildly. So yeah, the guy who was just holding hands with her brother suddenly became a mad dog. And it didn't stop there. For the next few months, North Korea kept attacking Moon Jae-in non-stop. The language was just so nasty that I cannot repeat here. But I put some of the keywords so you guys get the idea. And they called him shameless, brazen, fake, hopeless, grotesque, ignorant, unforgivable, a liar, a beggar, a bulllicker, a puppet, a traitor, a dog, a clown. And then it got even worse. They called him an idiot, a child, and a sewer. And that was the first time I realized sewer could be used as an insult. Then about 2 months later, Kim Yo Jong noticed something. South Korea was not reacting. No matter what she said, there was just complete silence from South Korea's side. So she was basically like, wait, do they not feel our family's psychopath energy? Do they not feel how crazy I am? Alright, let me make it clear. And she did. Kim Yo Jong ordered the destruction of the Inter-Korean Liaison Office. That building was brand new. It symbolized cooperation between North and South Korea. And you know what she did? She blew it up. Just like that, a building worth about $15 million gone. I mean, if you didn't want it as an office anymore, you could have turned it into something else, like a playground with a sad Starbucks in the corner, that kind of stuff. But no, she chose to blow it up. Even by North Korean standard, that was unhinged. I don't know if South Korea finally realized how crazy she was, but I definitely did. By now, you probably have a pretty good sense of what Kim Yo Jong is really like. Whenever she shows her cute side, there is always very specific target audience. Take the 2018 Winter Olympics for example. Why did she act so warm and approachable on camera? Because at the time, North Korea was under heavy global sanctions and desperately isolated. Her niceness was not real, it was a performance meant for the West. The goal was to make the Kim Jong-un's regime look like someone the world could do business with. But even then, one moment still slipped through. That look of contempt towards Moon Jae-in that got caught on camera. Despite trying as hard as she could, she still couldn't completely hide the crazy part of her. But overall, it was successful. It led to the Panmunjom Declaration and the whole honeymoon phase after that. But when those promises could not be delivered, she snapped once again. And that's when the psychopath side really came back out. Honestly, that personality fits the Kim family perfectly. But there's another possibility. Maybe none of this really her decision. Maybe the insults, the threats, even blowing up that building were all orders from Kim Jong-un directly. In North Korea, Kim Jong-un is basically like a god. If he personally went out and said those things or blew things up, it would damage the image. So when Pyongyang needs someone to cross the point of no return, the role falls to Kim Yo Jong. And that brings us to their relationship. There's a saying in Chinese, the most ruthless place is the royal family. Under absolute power, there is no real family morality. Kim Jong-un's relationship with his relatives is more like king and the servant than brother and sister. I mentioned this in my episode on Kim Jong-chol. There was a time when Kim Jong-un was drinking with his brother Kim Jong-chol. But the way he told him to drink was the language of a superior ordering a subordinate. And even when his brother had enough, he still didn't dare to refuse. So Kim Yo Jong acting like a servant in front of her brother isn't strange at all. So what do you think? Is Kim Yo Jong just a sweet, clueless sister doing her brother's dirty work? Or is she a psychopath all on her own? Don't just think silently, tell me in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, hype, and subscribe. With that, I will see you in the next one.